Hey everyone, Ben Nelson here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. It is time for another market update here for the Portland metro area for the residential real estate market. So I started out sharing my screen this time so I can try to do a little bit less jumping around here for you, but let's just get right into it here with the numbers. I'm going to make this a little bit easier to see here. There we go. So if you look at inventory levels, we're still kind of hanging around where we've always, been. Gained a little bit of ground over the last couple months. Still less than 1 month of inventory though. So very, very little inventory on the market, as we've continued to see for the last about, well, it was low when it was in the twos, but for the last year or so, it's been, 1.5 or less. So we're continuing to see some inventory. The inventory levels relatively staying the same, but new listings has been increasing. I'm going to jump down here just so you can see we are trending up with listings. So you can see the curve there. We're trending back up to kind of getting at least closer to where we were last year, and it's been trending up the last few months here into the summer. But still under what we were last year for total resident active listings. And they're just basically getting absorbed so quickly. That's why we're not, even though we're about 50% more inventory than we were a couple months ago, we are still barely higher on overall inventory because they're just getting absorbed as quickly as that number of houses increases. Again, there's total active listings trending up. New listings has found its way right into that bell curve there that we're used to seeing. And then pending sales is up, again, following that kind of similar bell curve that we see during the spring and summer. So yeah, lots of activity. Pending sales have increased. Closed sales are, again, at another high for July here compared to the previous 4 years. So we are seeing lots and lots of buyer activity, still lots of things happening. We are seeing less, at least I'm hearing and I'm seeing on my end, we're seeing less of the crazy multiple offers where there's, 10, 15, 20 offers on one property. We're still seeing multiple offers, but, I guess a more reasonable number if 4 or 5 is reasonable. And it depends. It does depend. You do have to price right. You do have to price in the range that is going to create that frenzy, that activity to be able to do that. If you overprice, you're not going to get the benefit of the multiple offers and lots of people clamoring for your home if you put it on the market and you list it too high. Affordability still is hovering right around 120%, which means that the median income for Portland, they can afford 117% of what a average monthly mortgage payment would be for a median priced home. That is assuming a 20% down payment and standard loan terms. So there's some assumptions in there, but that's how they calculate that. So according to all those things, if you're buying 20% down a median priced home and you have a median income, Portland is still an affordable market. So I think that's all I'm going to spend time on here. I do want to jump over to a couple of things just with where the market's going to, or what things that are affecting the market. So what's been affecting the market? Interest rates, of course, lumber prices, construction, forbearance, things like that. Those are all things that we need to be keeping an eye on as we're seeing where this is going to go. Things are good right now. We're continuing to see, well, depending on how you look at it, I guess, but we're continuing to see, and what side of the table you sit on, but we're continuing to see prices trend up. We're continuing to see equity happen and be built. But obviously, if you're on the cusp of the entry-level price point, that's not helpful if we continue to see that up. And part of that's inventory levels, part of it's interest rates, part of it's cost of construction. So let's go into, not that there's not other factors, but those are bigger ones. I am going to jump over here to a different see, I was going to try to not do this very much, but right here, home builder confidence. This is just from today, I believe. Home builder confidence sinks to lowest level in over a year as home prices soar. So yeah, we're seeing builders are afraid that buyers are being scared away due to sticker shock. Now, I don't know that I've seen a whole lot of that around here. This is obviously looking nationally at home builder confidence, but yeah, builders are concerned that they are that buyers are pulling back because of the cost going up, which they have to pass along to the consumer because they do have to make a profit, right? So if it costs more in labor and materials to construct, in land costs to construct a product, they have to sell it for more to be able to continue producing, or they can't build houses anymore. So they do have to pass those increases along to the consumer to be able to stay in business and still be able to build homes. So, and this is interesting. This goes back to, I don't think it was last month, but the month before, I shared an article where there were builders that were building and getting to foundation levels, they're just doing foundations, and then they were waiting. They were basically rolling the dice and gambling on, because lumber prices were just insane, and so they were just rolling the dice and gambling that betting on lumber prices coming down. So we'll jump over there real quick because they were insanely high for quite some time. Lumber price right here. So here you'll see back in, this was like September, October of last year. They were $900 to $1,000 per. How do they measure it again? Per 1,000 board feet. And then it dipped back down again, and then we saw it go above 1,500 per 1,000 board feet. And this was like May or somewhere, yeah, right there, May, where it was peaked, and then it's just tumbled down since then. We're at 400. This is, I think, from the last week or so as well, a couple of days ago. So we've come way down on our lumber prices, which is great for being able to continue production. We had this crazy increase in prices, and now we're back down. Lumber, I think, will continue to fluctuate, but as long as we're not back up here again, there's a huge difference in cost of construction. Builders were passing along $30, $40, $50, $60,000 in additional lumber costs that they were facing on lumber packages for their framing and all their sheeting and everything. So it was a huge difference. And so now that we're down to, it's dropped over 70% from its all-time high, that's going to help. Now that's just one component of building homes, copper, everything else that goes along with it. But this is a big piece of construction in the United States, of course, is the lumber cost. So this, home builder confidence is a little bit lower due to the cost of construction. I think this is going to offset that, and we're going to continue to see. And all those people that gambled and rolled the dice and bet on the lumber prices coming down, they made the right call for sure. So they are saving millions of dollars on those big subdivisions on lumber costs by waiting this out. Let's see. So I think I touched on this last time, but I do not remember. One of the other things that's, again, talking about 2008 and people looking at forbearance, I'm not going to jump into the forbearance stuff today, other than the forbearance number of people in forbearance is continuing to come down. Sorry about the phone call there. And there are some people that are getting behind a little bit still. But again, the numbers compared to what we saw in 2008, with the fact that we're way, way, way behind on housing development, and the fact that all of these lenders and servicers and everybody are going to be highly encouraged, I'll say, to continue to work with homeowners. There's a really long tail on anything that's going to end up being in foreclosure. Again, there will be some foreclosures, but it will be a fraction of what is currently in forbearance right now, in my opinion. And even if all of them ended up going to foreclosure, yes, it would affect the inventory in the market. Depending on what market you're in, it's going to affect it more. But yeah, we don't. It's not going to be a huge. It wouldn't be a huge impact in our market. It would be. It would make a difference. It would change the scenarios, but it wouldn't be like a devastating impact in the sense of a crash or anything like that. But I am going to jump over to this, which again I can't remember if I shared it or not. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Share. This is about housing underproduction, and this is specifically about Oregon. This is a little bit older, but I think from a couple years ago, but it's still relevant for sure. So this is a really interesting study that they did on home production versus what needed to be produced for the increase of housing units, like residents. And this right here is just talking about the estimated reduction in home prices if we would have kept up. So it's super interesting there, over 20% in California. Actually, really, if you think about it, a 5% decrease is not that much in the scheme of things, just from keeping up. So yeah, obviously have some additional drivers in causing the rising prices. But this is housing units versus household formation. That's the term I was looking for before. For every 100 households formed between 2000 and 2016, only 89 units were built. So we had about 11% short on that. And you can see by county, which ones kept up and which ones were really far behind. The coast more than kept up for sure. And then the main counties were just kind of slightly behind here in the Portland metro area. And then you look at from 2010 to 2016, and this has only just gotten worse over the last few years. You see housing units versus household formation, and you see we're well behind the production that we needed to keep up with the household formation. So you see Yamhill County has produced half of what they needed, Washington County about 3/4, Multnomah County, right in the middle of that. Clackamas County was a little bit better. But most of these are way behind. Even the coast fell behind here, except for Tillamook. So Eastern Oregon, not so much of a problem. But in the Portland metro area, we've been way behind on producing the necessary housing. So that's not a problem that gets fixed overnight. We are seeing new development. We're also having some issues with that. It's just some areas it's just tougher and a longer tail on development. There's been some things in Portland, not to be controversial, that have disincentivized some construction. It'll be interesting to see how the residential infill project and some of the new zoning and stuff, if that will help or hinder. Time will tell on that. But yeah, I thought this was super relevant, and we're continuing to grow. So we're continuing to have more household formation and struggling to produce the housing units. So yeah, you can see this is the trend that we've been seeing: a lack of production, not enough production, and it's trended to being even worse. And so that's a big part of why we've seen that continued upward pressure on pricing. And I think we'll continue to see it until we catch up, which who knows when that's going to be. So, and then this was the last thing I wanted to share really quick. This is a prediction by one person, but I would say it's probably along the lines of what I've been saying too. The housing boom will end when mortgage rates rise in 2022. So. What does that mean? That does not mean a housing crash. It means probably a leveling off of prices, because we all know that for the most part, housing prices, housing values are a function of payment, which is a function of interest rate. So that's just, if you work the numbers backwards, most people shop on payment. What can you afford based on your income? So if you can, get if you can afford $2,200 a month and interest rates are at 3%, you're going to be able to afford a lot different house price than if we're at 3.5% or 4%. So that's just how it works in general. So not really anything surprising here. And they've been holding interest rates so low for so long. They're actually, I believe I saw an article earlier too that we're basically teetering at all-time lows again. Which is just crazy, but they're holding them down low. But eventually they do have to go up, and I've been seeing that for years. But eventually they do, and so yeah. And I don't. But again, it doesn't mean housing. We're not in a bubble. We're not going to see some big crash or whatever. And a big part of that is just we just desperately need housing units. So even if mortgage rates go up and it deters some people from buying, people still are going to buy. People still need places to live. We still need production of housing in a bad way across most major markets in the country, including Portland. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this. I think we're going to have a strong fall here going into the end of 2021. I think we'll continue, even if interest rates do tick up. We're going to continue to see a lot of strong activity. Some new developments coming on the market, and again, lots of good indicators with continued in migration here. Lots of good job news and everything. So Portland's a strong market. It's going to continue to be. We're going to continue to see growth. I think we're going to continue to see a lot of growth in the western suburbs, which we've seen. Hillsborough, Forest Grove, Yamhill County. We're seeing a lot of growth and new construction and development out in those areas too. And I think and that's part of that trend of the moving from the city to the suburbs, which we'll see if that's just a trendy thing or if it's going to be a long-term deal with that. But thanks for watching. As always, feel free to reach out. Would love to chat with you about your specific situation or about the market or answer any questions for you. I'm here to be a resource to you in any way that I can. So let me know what I can do to be of help. Thanks again. Make it a great rest of the day.